People won't get into heaven because they think they're too good. They think of themselves pretty highly. You've got another portion in the book where you say when they evaluate themselves against other folks, they always raise their position because they say, I'm better than those folks.
Right.
All right, how do you talk to those people in terms of illustrating to them that that may be true, they might be better than others, but in terms of their sinfulness before God, there is such a chasm.
Yeah. Well, you know, let's take this illustration. There's the Sears Tower in Chicago. Now, the Sears Tower is a lot taller than the First National Bank. And I'm sure that we could figure out, you know, exactly how many feet and how many yards. But if you change the question and say, which building is closest to the nearest star, which is a couple of 1,000 of light years away, the difference between the buildings is really not that great. And you see, if we stop judging ourselves by ourselves and start rather judging ourselves by God, the differences between us are really negligible. They aren't that great. So you see, the problem with human beings is this, and Luther said it so well. People perceive themselves to be alive and to be good and all these things, and then what they don't realize is they are also blind and do not realize that they are miserable sinners judged in the presence of a holy God. You know, there was a little boy who said to his mother one time, he says, Mother, he said, I'm 8 feet tall. And he was, according to the ruler that he had made. and people judge themselves by a false standard. If you come to the Bible, you find out that all have sinned and come short of the glory of God. And the folks who are least likely to accept God's grace, and we're certainly going to be emphasizing that in a future program, the ones least likely are the good folks who go to church. But you know, there's another category of people, John, particularly in our age of spirituality. And these are the spiritual types, the mystical types. We've got people plugging into God and trying to think that somehow they know God. The simple fact is, the Bible says that many people, first of all, it says the wicked stumble over things and they don't know what they're stumbling over. But it also says there are people who perceive themselves as being too good to do any wrong. And they are sometimes the greatest sinners and the hardest to reach. Why? Because they can pull out of life all of these good things that they have done, and they do not understand that they also need to be saved even more desperately than the drunk who's along Skid Row.